it kind of be hard because I know people. I'm a good dude, right? I got my ways. I ain't perfect, right? But I know people who was better than me that didn't make it, right? So sometimes I feel like I'm on borrowed people time, right? I gotta be here for a reason because the things I wasn't supposed to survive through, I got through them. From jail.
Yeah, I was about to say, get a little in depth,
like
help us to understand. Because the thing about it is, like, with you reintroducing yourself, we need to connect with you.
What up?
We need to understand.
But, all right, real talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back. I'm from the third ward.
Mm-hmm.
Josephine, LaSalle, Jackson,
Uptown.
Ferret, Rochambeau,
right?
In and Out. Nancy's, like that was my Price store. That was my childhood. You know what I'm saying? About 10, we moved from around there. We moved to the 10th ward, right? We moved around Swagman, right? Culture shock, right? I come from playing football. We go around there. They play basketball. Boom, is different. They hustling. Boom, we know what hustling is. So it changed quick. You know what I'm saying? Boom. It was that part. St. Thomas. You feel me? You feel me? Like,
shout out to the 10th.
They fighting with my childhood friends from this side. All right, I'm in the middle. I don't know.
Right.
Like, well, right, and I adapted to the environment, harden you some. You know what I'm saying? Boom. I transitioned from there. We also was in a Desire, and we was in Imperial Drive. You know, in
Man,
childhood, you know.
Hey, is there a number award y'all didn't see?
Everywhere but the Cali and the fish. Right. Everywhere but the Cali and the fish. Everywhere else, you know me. I've been there.
Man, y'all got a whole phone number of awards y'all just did.
But you know, we was poor. Everybody was poor.
Yeah,
it was poverty. Yeah. It's still poverty.
You know what's funny? I was talking to somebody recently, and it was like, man, we moved at the end of each month. Cause we couldn't pay the rent.
So that put us
not only we moved across town. Cause we don't want nobody to know we was in it. And it's crazy cause like I oftentimes kind of like just think about the word culture. And I ask myself, is the word culture to us normalized trauma? Because just think about a lot of stuff that we experienced and endured, we couldn't evade it. So we had to learn to live with it. And then those things by way of living, I'll give you an example. Like coming up, if you got some hand-me-downs and you know, you was tall, your brother was short, you know what I'm saying? Vice versa, you end up with high waters.
Fact.
But then there came a time when they end up coming with the pants called knickerbockers that emulated high waters. So they took
small
well, we had no choice but to do and flip it. But just think about the jeans you have on.
Yeah, it was.
That's damaged jeans.
Right.
Holy jeans. So, like, I oftentimes, and I ask that question because when we understand what we possess, then we'll be in a better position to be able to benefit and monetize off whatever it is that we're creating. But oftentimes, we don't see value in the things that other people see value in. And that's why when you look at a house that's been condemned in Holly Grove or Uptown and it been vacant for years, and then somebody come that's not around that area, they're like, oh my God, I want to buy that house. Now you were like, man, I don't buy that house, whatever, you know what I mean? And then they buy that house and you come back a year later and now that house that was condemned and vacant is now restored and that house is worth $300,000-$400,000. And I've been around the house my whole life.
All my life.
And all I did was spray paint on it, throw trash in front of it. I didn't see the value of it.
Facts.
So I think it's extremely important that we understand, just going back to why should you live. I asked that question because it ties to, like, what's the value of your life?
Actually understanding what the value was. And picture this, I've been a billionaire the whole time and didn't know it. Imagine walking around with the value that we have and not even knowing your value because we didn't actually get time to tap into it, right? We get stuck on the treadmill running behind a pay a bill, right? But if you ever get past that point and need money to pay a bill and you ain't gotta focus on that, you'll be surprised what your mind will think in the stuff that you really wanna do.
But just look at like the 4 principles. The 4 things we talked about. The 4 agreements.
Give them to me on camera.
The 4 agreements. Never take anything personal. Be impeccable with your word. Never make assumptions. And always do your best. So when I think about those agreements, those 4 principles, never take anything personal. Oftentimes, people, what they harbor is a direct impact of the trauma that they experience, that they harbor, and then they want to connect with that, or connect with someone through that, so they end up projecting it on you. And if you plug into it, then you become that. Be impeccable with your words. Your word is everything. Yes mean yes, no mean no. You're not obligated, or nobody's entitled to anything from you. I don't care if you're my mother, my brother, I can say no if I don't feel comfortable doing a certain thing. Never take anything personal. It's like, again, I'm not entitled to anything. Man, loan me $10. I ain't got it. Man,
you mad with me now?
But why am I mad with myself for not having $10? And the last thing, always do your best. Always do your best by not accepting anything that you feel like you can't do successfully or grow to becoming excelling in doing it. Again, say no. I don't know how to do it. Now, I'll be willing to learn, but I want you to be clear that I do not know how to do it. So those are the basic principles on just how to become properly habilitated. That we just imagine, like we live being put on guilt trips by family members, by our peers. You successful, I'm not. You are constant, I'm lazy, you work hard. You constantly remind me what I can do if I stop being lazy, smoking and drinking every day, and that's it. Looking at you, now I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wait, bruh, we was afforded the same thing. Like, you chose not to do it, I chose to do it. And you mad at me? So, man, those 4 principles, and, just going back to, man, like, you said a mouthful. You've been a billionaire. Hey, you've been a shining star, bro. Like, and it's crazy because, like, I don't care how long it was when we didn't see each other. We saw each other. It was love. You would think me and this man grew up together like this. You know what I mean? And it was energy, man, that connected us. So it's just like, even today, we here because of energy. Like, where we at, this has been manifested.
Facts.
We thought, like, we saw it then.
Fact.
And we had the patience
To actually meet it here, we was blessed enough to make it here.
Absolutely.
Right?
Extremely
Because
blessed.
Coming from where we came from,
Extremely
right?
blessed,
A
yeah.
lot of people didn't make it here, right?
For real.
Right. And if we go back to the times before this, right? Because the people have seen New Orleans the way it is right now, right? Right? But if you go underneath the surface of what's really going, like, this been a real hard and poverty-stricken place.
Absolutely. It was tough, bro. Man, the psychology of getting to a point, accepting the fact that you won't live to see 18 or 21.
Facts.
Like, just like, teachers like,
Let
set
me
a
get it
5-year
all in
plan.
now. Let me get it
like,
all
set a
in
5-year
now.
plan for what?
Yeah,
One of my partners just got life.
I need to get it
My
right
other
now.
partner just got murdered. Like, a 5-year plan for what? I'm on borrowed time. So I'm so grateful that, there were people that saw something in us that we didn't see in ourselves. That counterattack, well, like what we thought of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the mentors, the words and the wisdom of my mentors, and the people that invested and people that spoke life into my situation when I thought it was dead. And that's why we're here. Because not only did we allow people to speak life into our lives, we then in turn, now we're speaking life into other people's lives. And that's the blessing. Like how you be encountering these young gentlemen and you're speaking life into them and you're educating them and you're putting them, empowering them. That's what it's all about. And that's what happened to us. We had a choice. Yeah. I can go left, I can go right. We can't say, I was forced into this. I was, like some people can, but I remember having a choice.
Yeah.
Knowing that, all right, if you go down this street, this is what's going to happen. So I would advise you don't go down it. If you go down this street, this is what's going to happen. I would advise you take that route. Now, every now and then, people get curious. Man, if I go down that street, it's going to be different for me. And then you end up never going down that street again. So, it's just like, man, I'm just thankful that, our lives are now, able to be an example
For
of
other
what
people.
was,
and
what is, and what's to
will
come.
be.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Facts.
Absolutely.
And I look back into us growing up, right? All of us didn't have a father at home, right? Because we
Right.
came from a place where our fathers was gone.
Right.
I remember being a teenager, right? I remember being a kid, but getting to that point of being a teenager, and when you went outside, the stuff you was dealing with outside, you couldn't go home and tell your mama, home and down the street, pull a gun on me and ride me. You feel me? Like, you had to go get your own and be able to protect yourself out there, right? So
They had no clue.
So and still don't have a clue. They might find out this day
Oh, my
years
baby
later.
ain't never did nothing. Yes, ma'am.
You know
Yes,
what I'm saying?
ma'am, right.
And it's that point of understanding, not only for giving testimonies, but still educating other youngsters who might be on their way going through the same thing that may not have that father at home, right? That you wasn't the only one who went through that, right? And, right, we are examples of everything that been through at you. If you make it through that,
Yeah.
then you could get right here and do this, and this will be your catapult to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I know you. You feel me? Like, you got history. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why you gotta respect everybody who came from what we came from, the cutthroat era, that can actually come into a new era. That's why I call it organized thinkers, because we have to restructure what we're doing.
But even then, when you think back with the gentlemen from our era, they were courageous, they had heart, they were brilliant,
Dope.
bright minds,
Dope. So
but lacked guidance and direction.
now, what do you think that came from, though? Did that come from not having?
Like you said, to open up this portion of the conversation, we didn't have fathers. My daddy left the street when my mom was pregnant. My daddy left the street when my mom was pregnant and went to the penitentiary at 17. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm going from in my mama's belly, Tyler, little boy, to Angola. Then he come home after when I was probably like, I'm gonna say between, I think 7 and 11. Went back after 6 months, went laid down again for 5. Then came home, stayed home for a couple years, went back, laid down for 7 more. So it's like he left like almost in every stage of my life. And I can remember a moment where I started getting and feeling that, I remember talking to him one time, little pup. I was in WCI, you know what I'm saying? And I'm working a summer job, so I bought my own outfit. This guy had another to criticize my outfit. I'm looking at him like, nigga, I bought this, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at him like, nigga, I bought this, nigga.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I'm looking at him like, what's happening with you, homie? You know what I'm saying? However, you know, it was like, he was still a young man.
Yeah, he was figuring it out too.
Imagine, like, again, my mom got pregnant when he was 17 to 18.
Kid with a kid.
They were kids.
Facts.
So I'm looking at him like he have all the answers,
But
when he have a
figuring
clue.
it out. We figuring it out.
Yeah,
together.
man. So like, what happened is we didn't have those father figures, but thankful for the coaches, thankful for the mentors,
Thankful for the real ones in the hood.
the real ones in the hood, like who
like you said, saw something in
I
us.
said,
Like,
bro, I done got some principles for some guys in the neighborhood. They told me one time, and I applied those. I had one guy, bro. At the time, he had I want to say 7 kids. He was 21, and he sat down and he told me, he was like, man, whatever you do, if you start having sex, always use a condom. You know what I'm saying? Because I got 7 kids, I'm on child support, and, you know, I have a situation. You know, so it's just like, man, that stuck with me, man. That never left me. You know, and then a couple other principles that, you know, along the way. So it's just like sometimes things will be said, and everything, somebody shouldn't always have to tell you that, listen to this. You know, if you know you in this environment and somebody's saying something that can help you through combat, like, you know, like, man, I need to pick up on that. I need to store that in the chest.
thank God, having real was round.
Man, for real, man, for real. Because it's like, man, I'd say, bro, I'll give you another story. Like, so when I went to Loyola University, my daddy was in jail. I wrote him a letter, like, man, what should I do? And he wrote me a letter back, like, let's go back to the 4 agreements, 4 principles. Man, keep doing what you're doing. You done went further than me. I took that personal. I'm on my feelings. I finally reached out to you to ask you to do something, and that's all you could give me?
But picture this. What if he don't know what else to give you though?
That's why I said I took it personal.
No,
he gave me all he had.
And what he gave you is you going in the right direction, son.
Keep going.
whatever.
But at that point, I didn't process it like that.
I ain't never been there before, son. Like, I only know what I know.
He went to the penitentiary fresh out of high school, senior year at Fauché, straight to the penitentiary. So for me, it's like, okay, now I got a chip on my shoulder. So I'm walking through the neighborhood and I'm booted up. And an old man, old alcoholic at the corner store, like, what's wrong, young man? I'm like, man, they want me to go to that stupid school and I use profanity. They're like, what school? I was like, yo. He looked at me. He said, little boy, look around you. Do you think anybody else around you have the luxury of saying that? He said, man, if I ever catch you walking, looking like that again, I'm gonna bat the out you. And the first thing I did was looked at his hands and it was open, so I'm like, he not even wall ready. So he's speaking from an emotional place.
Yeah.
So I then looked at that and respected the fact that he didn't have to tell me anything.
Facts.
And that changed the trajectory of my approach with that university.
It made you look back on what Pop said too.
Not only that, my mom was in jail. My mom and my dad was in jail, and I went to jail my senior year in high school. So I had to go see my mom in jail before my graduation, and she cried of the fact she couldn't be there. So I'm like, don't trip, it's the first one won't be the last one. And she was able to be there for that one. So when we talk about the dynamics of our lives, bro, like...
Yeah, man, I don't really tell people. Katrina, right? My mama died a week before Katrina, right? I buried her the Saturday before we had to evacuate Sunday. Feel me? So imagine coming out doing that. Then you wake up the next morning with your family beating on the door like, we gotta evacuate, right? Not only for me, but for the world.
Right.
New Orleans ain't never been the same. My life ain't never been the same. Mom's died. The city has never been the same.
The city died.
Since that.
The city died.
Feel me? I went through that. If people ain't see me, I've been to the feds, I've been to the state, I've been on all kind of parish jails. Like, I went on the whole roller coaster, right? From that run we was on to on that, right? And then I got dropped back off on the steps where I left from, parole back where I evacuated from, and figure it out, right? So now this is me coming back, figuring it out, right? And then you've been gone that long, you'll forget who you is.
Facts.
Right? So then I had to go back and remember who I was, right? I had to come back to these old environments and go through them old steps I've been through, to go through a few I've been through already, right? To go back and to go see my judge. Shout out to Judge Berrigan. She was like, Everett, are you finished? And I was like, what? She was like, are you finished? She was like, Mr. Manuel showed me all your videos you was doing. He showed me you had got your daughter back. You finished selling crack? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm finished selling crack. I ain't selling it no more. She said, when you finish, go out here and be great like you're supposed to be and teach them kids all the things you're supposed to teach them, right? And lead them the way you're supposed to lead them.
Real.
And I was like, yes, ma'am, right? I ain't sold crack since.
Right, real.
You feel me?
Salute.
You feel me? So this me getting back now, right? And getting back, getting my life together, right? Starting a family, having new kids, right? Getting them on track, making sure I can see their future. And now after being able to see their future and knowing they are right? We got businesses in LA, Southern Taco, and a few others, right? So now after I can see they okay, now I still found myself going through PTSD, right? I ain't going through anxiety, right? I had to realize what did I use to cope with that, right? It wasn't medicine, it was writing. It was my thoughts, it was venting everything that I was holding in that be burning me up and eating at me, right?
Right.
And come to find out, for some people, it's entertainment.
Right.
For some people, it's therapy.
It's therapy.
For some people, it's guidance.
Right.
Right?
For real.
But it's different things. To some people, it's stories. Like people can visualize the words that I'm saying in the story. They like, man, you put me right. I was in Holly Grove. I seen the store with your rhymes. You know what I'm saying? It was like, that's what they was for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So after getting everything else together and knowing that I could breathe now, right? We gamble, right? We come from a place where we gamble, right? We could be gone the next 10 years tomorrow, right? Now knowing that I could see the future, my kids' future, I know they're okay. Now I need to vent all that out and then get back to being who I am, right? And making sure everybody around me all right. Create new structures, right? We found it this way.
Right.
We found New Orleans the way it is, right? That don't mean it got to keep going the way it was that we found it. Because we behind the driver's seat don't even know it.
Right. And it's man, if everybody just understand their role and take responsibility and accountability for what part you can play, that's what it's all about. Like, I can't control what you do. I can't tell you what to do, but I can be responsible for what I'm doing. And as a matter of fact, how could I take accountability or even be at my best if I'm spending all my time worrying about what you're doing? Like, man, I ain't got time to worry about nothing anybody doing. All I have time to do is set goals, set attainable goals, work hard daily to accomplish them, and anticipate that somebody see what I'm doing, become inspired by it, and allow me to introduce them to what I'm doing. That's all I could do.
Hey, you are one of the few people who make me feel like I can survive on this side of the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's people understand I say it's two different sides of New Orleans, right? And you have to be able to navigate both sides, right? You are one of the people who inspire me and let me know that I could play that game. It's you, and I don't know if you know him, it's a guy named Patrick Young.
Hey, did it.
You and Pat let me know that you can survive on this side of the world, right? And we can be just as great as the people who was great before us. And wear some jeans and put on a suit and tie too, and still maintain your integrity and be who you is, and not get caught up in your costume. You feel me? I appreciate you.
Nah, that's love. Nah, Diddy and I locked in. We was volunteering at Job 1, training some young men, you know, and that's where we first met at. So we started doing some work with our other partner, Sharif and Jerome, and like, man, we ended up applying for positions at Job 1. Diddy got the education position. I got the youth job development program. Jerome was like the dean, and Sharif was working on the other side. And man, we went in there and we serviced, like, during our time there, man, hundreds of kids. I'm talking about transforming lives. Like, kids come in homeless, teenage parents, on drugs, you name it. And we had to, like, really lock in with these kids and make sure that he took care of all the education. I helped him to do resumes. I taught him, you know, how to apply for jobs, brought them to jobs interviews, you know, did mock interviews with them, man. We did some great work together. Nah, shout out, did it. Much respect, brother.
I met him at Strive.
Yep, at Strive. So when he left where we were at together, he came to Strive, and I went into radio.
Okay.
Yep, and then I went into television, and he went to New Orleans Business Alliance. Yeah, I actually seen him last week. He was here last week. You know what I'm saying? All right. But yeah, like, so again, the connectivity, the energy, you know, like, yeah, man.
Yeah, now y'all inspire me. I wanna, as I reintroduce myself, I also want to reintroduce everybody else, right? So won't you let them know, if for the people who don't know who you are and why we here and what you do here?
For sure. My name is Dorian Francis, again, aka Dope Bomber, Dope Eazy. I'm a community advocate. I grew up in Central City, grew up uptown, and we are now in the New Orleans Jazz Market. The building was bought and put in Central City in 2015. This building was put here to serve musicians, serve the community, with programs, with activities, and, you know, just a way for our people to come into a nice, refined environment and enjoy great entertainment and enjoy great music. I've been operating as a general manager for the last 6 or 7 months, and it's been a complete honor to do things from having Amazon in here to do a TV show, hosted the Net Charter School high school graduation, did 2 comedy shows produced by Menace and VAR, with the 504 Boys of Comedy, the Hot Boys of Comedy, partnering with other different organizations to come in and do things. So it's been